I once said that you are the only thing that can hold yourself back or move yourself forward. And it is this way of thinking that could put some people on a clear path to success. Many believe that their lives are out of their hands, and that whether or not they can become a capable artist was decided for them at birth. Others believe that it is simply a waiting game, and that by drawing every now and then it will lead to a desired outcome, and that the only reason they aren't better than the way they are is because they need more time. The truth is, in most cases the problem isn't time or decision by fate. Oftentimes it's the artists themselves that hold themselves back due to something they consistently do or don't do. So, without wasting any more of your time, here's a list of things artists do that hold them back. This will be a two-part video because there's so much that can be said about each item on this list. Number 1. Ignoring the fundamentals. I can't stress this one enough. The more you understand your fundamentals, the faster you will advance in your art journey. Most mistakes can be traced back to a lack of fundamental knowledge. And it makes sense. If you started as a kid just drawing for fun, then why would you have any real foundation to build from? But it's when you continue to try and build your skill without that foundation that you find yourselves running into constant problems and barriers. Instead, you should take the time to start studying the fundamentals, now that you're older and can better understand the concepts. You can also see where your weaknesses are, and decide what to focus on first. If you find that your drawings aren't turning out as good as you want them to, then you should practice line, shape, and form. These are the basic building blocks for any drawing, and will even make learning the other fundamentals easier. When it comes to line and shapes, you can look at how your favorite artists go about making their lines and the kinds of shapes they use, then try to mimic their methods until you find one that works with the way you want to draw. You can also practice making straight lines and drawing shapes as a warm-up before drawing. When it comes to forms, you can start out with learning to draw spheres, boxes, and cylinders from multiple angles, as these forms can be used in simplifying complex shapes. The way to define the angle of a sphere is by drawing an ellipse through the center point both horizontally and vertically. This will come in handy when drawing heads. Next, try drawing those shapes bending and deforming, while also adding values to show where the light is coming from. For the final stage, try to make complex shapes from your imagination, using the other shapes as a base. You can just start by cutting into or extruding from the shapes you already know. Fill pages and pages with these exercises whenever you can, and your drawing should improve once you're able to apply what you've practiced. I know it may seem like a lot, but in doing the work now, you won't have to do as much work later, and can pump out good drawings with ease. Number 2. This one is repeated all over, and yet people still commit this crime thinking they will go unpunished, but it always catches up to them. People are just simply not drawing for long periods of time, and hoping to be better whenever they decide to pick up the pencil again. Or, they just don't draw while consistently voicing their desire to be better artists. If this is you, stop. You're not going to be able to improve at the craft if you aren't practicing it. You may say you don't have time or you're too tired, but the truth is art may not be a priority to you, because there is always time. And while that excuse works 1 or 2 times every now and then, if it's something you let constantly hold you back, then how hard are you actually trying to do something you claim to love? Time management could be your issue. Or maybe you're just lazy. Either way, the problem lies within you. Always blaming something else is a habit for the unsuccessful, and eventually, your words start to lose meaning. you need to make it a habit to act more. If you want something, show you want it by acting. If you really want to draw, then there's definitely a 10 to 30 minute slot of time somewhere in your day. But it's up to you to find that time and set it aside for you to draw. Number 3. Lack of focus or goals. Now this can go two ways. The first way is someone that doesn't really know what to do when they sit down to draw. So they either don't draw or they draw the same thing they usually draw. The next way this can go is the person that spreads themselves thin and never finishes anything because they want to do everything. When done right, this can be a valuable skill, but early on, it may often lead to burnout with little progress made on anything. What both of these people need are a goal. Well, a long-term and short-term goals to be exact. This could even help that person that doesn't draw enough. You see, the first person simply draws for the sake of drawing with no base for creation, and the second person just wants to make an awesome finished thing so they can have a bunch of awesome finished things that they made. With goals, they can both focus on a more defined reason for creation and come up with short-term goals that will get them there. It can also hopefully put things into perspective. I hear too often people saying they want to make something but are waiting until they are good enough to do so. But what are you waiting for? Skill isn't going to come knocking on your door with a letter telling you that you're ready to make this thing. Instead, take the steps needed to get you where you want to be so you can make that thing. It's honestly just about finding what you want to do and using it to guide what you do until you get there. Without a goal, you don't know if you're making any progress. And if you have a goal that you're not working towards, then at least you can better understand why you haven't made any progress towards a better tomorrow. Number 4. Being too comfortable. This is something people do a lot, and hopefully you will better understand how it holds you back after I explain. When I was a kid, I didn't know how to ride a bike. So, I hated riding bikes and was convinced that I'd never ride one. Eventually, when I did learn how to ride a bike, I found it to be a ton of fun. If I had decided to stay comfortable, then I would have missed out on a fun form of transportation and exercise that I enjoy to this day. People do the same thing with drawing, like avoiding hands or cropping the feet out of the picture, or simply drawing things in the same way every time instead of learning to draw it better. You can't improve by doing the same thing over and over in the exact same way. Only by changing your approach can you get better. But for years, people will do what they are comfortable with and barely make any improvements in the process. If you struggle with something during a drawing, make note of it and find a new way to approach that thing for next time. And the longer you avoid those things you don't want to do because you don't know how to do them, the longer it will take you to get good at doing them. Don't be afraid to take a little extra time on a particular part of a drawing so you can learn to do it right. And finally, number 5, chasing short-term satisfaction. At the end of the day, we all want to be happy. Naturally, we lean towards doing the things that will make us happy in the moment rather than thinking long-term. Our brains want us to find joy with little resistance or effort, and it is up to us to restrain ourselves to focus on the long term. Now you may be thinking, what's wrong with short-term satisfaction? The issue is that once it is used up, you usually end up back where you started in search of your next quick fix. And you feel like you're making progress, so you'll do a bunch of stuff thinking you're getting somewhere, but will once again burn out with little progress on anything. As artists, we all want to build some kind of fan base or do some kind of project. But instead of coming up with a logical approach to finishing a project or gaining a following, we instead act on our desire for short-term satisfaction. All we can think about is what it will be like when the project is done, and already we begin to fantasize about the sequel. Maybe we'll go design a logo or two, or draw a character that we think will be the lead to our story. We set up a Pinterest board with thousands of images and watch tons of videos on YouTube telling us how to be successful. And then we go to sleep feeling accomplished and ready once again to attack our dreams tomorrow. But tomorrow comes and we just repeat what we did the day before, drawing random characters or the same characters, thinking about our logo and digging through the internet. And before we know it, we are tired of the project. It feels like it isn't going anywhere, or we just simply burn out again. We never once posted to our social media. We never once wrote down a word for our story. Why did I even save that picture again? And can you remember what that one YouTube video said, or should I watch it once more? And like that, we shift over to the next fantasy because it feels so much better to dream than it does to work. Short-term happiness always comes at a cost. You may feel good buying those expensive art books, but are they really worth the money if you flip through them once? And a new sketchbook isn't going to change how you draw. Neither will any of those colored pencils. Don't let your desire for immediate gratification blind you from the reality of your situation. Remember to work towards a long-term goal and understand that it will all be worth it if you give it time. Okay, so a quick recap. Tip number 1, stop ignoring your fundamentals. Take some time to practice them and transcend your current art skills. 2, stop making excuses for why you can't draw, and make time for yourself if you truly want to get better at the craft. 3, try to focus more on long-term goals, with short-term goals that will help you reach it. 4, stop hiding the hands in your drawings, and take the time to get better at drawing things you struggle with. And 5, don't chase short-term satisfaction. It's just a trap to keep you from accomplishing your dreams. Well, alright, that's all for this video. The other 5 tips will be in the next video I post. I hope this video was helpful to at least one of you out there. If not, let us know in the comments what could be done better. And if you know of other ways we can level up our art skills, let us know that as well. Also, while you're down there, I would love it if you would subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can see what I do next. But until we meet again, I would just like to say, welcome to Edenwick.